Yo, what's going on? It is a little bit after 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake. It's time for another live stream, the first live stream in a very long time. So it's good to be back here, guys, and sorry to make you wait. But today is Monday, April 7th already. The last time I talked to you guys was more than 2 weeks ago, it feels like. I think it was 3 weeks ago, but it's been a long time. We're back. I've been to a lot of places, so there's lots to talk about today. And I've got an exciting package to unbox as well. So we'll do all of that stuff. But first, let's say hi to everyone listening on the audio-only version on the podcast. It's been a long time since I've been in your ears on the run, but hopefully your run is going well. It is cold here in Crystal Lake. It snowed this morning. My daughter had her second track meet in a row canceled due to cold temperatures and weather. So she won't be having she hasn't opened her track season yet. But hopefully if you're listening to this on the run or maybe commuting home from work, hopefully you're having good weather. Everyone else watching this later, but not live, welcome to the #1 running live stream show on the internet. Is it the #1? I'm pretty sure. I have to keep making it narrower and narrower to make sure that I can truthfully say I'm the #1 at something. Running / live stream show. Yeah, I think we're pretty much there. What are the other live stream? There's other good live stream ones. I don't really know how to compare it, really. I mean, there's Daily Brew, which probably is the better one. So I'll say #2, #2 running live show. All right, let's see who we got here in the chat. Daniel Burton said, I placed 37th out of 80 in the age group, and I've been having back tightness, so just finishing was a win. All right, well, congratulations, Daniel, on finishing. Good job. I mean, 37 out of 80 is pretty good, too. He goes, Carlsbad. Oh, was it the Carlsbad 5,000? Was that last weekend? Oh my goodness. Brian Lackanalao is here, says, hey GoFam, looking forward to a live chat. Stephen C 1984 says, yo. Stephen C had a half marathon PB. Oh boy, this is a fun one. Because most of the time for normal people, I say don't go by gun time. And this is a fun instance of why you should not go by gun time if you are not an elite or a pro athlete, because his gun time was 1:20:01, but the chip time was 1:19:59, and that is a fantastic chip time to come back with. So that's awesome. Congratulations. All right, Eric says, hey all, it's been too long on a rest day and a taper week as I battle with the twitches and tantrum feelings that are normal, but feeling good. All right. Nice. Hope you're having a good rest day. And let's keep scrolling down. Luis Becerra is here. What's going on, Luis? And Andrew Scott says, according to Go Brewing, today is National Beer Day. Oh, that's interesting. Nice. Juliana VB says, welcome back. Well, it's good to be back. Patrick Odedina says, welcome back, our glorious shoe review king. Thank you very much. It's good to be back, guys. It's like I've forgotten how long it really has been. Did we talk after I got back from Italy or no? Someone have to remind me. Because I could talk about Italy as well. That video is going up right now. So if we're getting bad quality on the live stream, it's because I'm fighting myself for network bandwidth because I'm uploading the Runner's Weekend in Diodoro video as we speak. I wanted to get it done while I was in Kenya. I wanted it to come out last Friday. I ended up not being able to work nearly as much as I thought I would be able to. And so it took me a little bit of time once I got back home from the trip to get it done. And so one of the thing was that, do you guys hear that? I'm hearing like a little bit of static. Okay. Anyway, one of the things was that so in Kenya, I went there with Kiprun. And I stayed at their 42 house. 42 house is the name of their training camp for their pro athletes in Kenya. It can hold up to a capacity of 22 athletes. They have 17 staying there at the moment. Although when I was there, like a lot of the people were gone because they were traveling that weekend to compete elsewhere. But there were 2 empty rooms there. So we kind of had to take turns who got to spend a night at the 42 house. But one of the nights we spent there, I was there and I'd been doing a little bit of work every night at the end of the day while I was there after dinner. But with a lot of these trips, dinner tends to drag on late and you don't get back till much later than you think you are, and then you're exhausted. But I tried to get some work done. At the 42 house, it's like a monastery at these training camps, because all you do is run and eat and you recover, and that's it. That's all you're there to do. I mean, they have internet there. They had Wi-Fi. Depending on which room you were, the Wi-Fi might reach you or not. And there was cell service there and stuff too, so it's not completely unplugged and remote. But like, there's not a lot to do there other than run. They had like a gym area too, so you could do strength and all that stuff. But like, dinner was at like 7:30, and maybe 8 o'clock. It was late dinner that day. And I was in my room and in bed at like 8:50. I was like, oh, I'm going to get a lot of work done. Because I had been working until about 1 o'clock in the morning most nights there. But it was so quiet there. And the rooms that we're in weren't exactly like soundproof. And so like I had to do some voiceover work. And I was like, if I do, I'm going to keep people up. And it was the night before their long run, that pro athlete. So I'm like, I can't be making a bunch of noise and stuff while I'm here. So I just went to bed and slept. So that was a big chunk of time that I lost. But anyway. All right. Steven C says quality upstream seems fine. Okay. Maybe the video is done uploading already. It can't possibly. No, it's still uploading. But all right. Good that the quality is still okay. But yeah, so that's part of the delay. Other part of the delay is that like even when I wasn't staying at the Kiprun house, the 42 house, like we would have to drive from the Kiprun house, which is in E10, to Eldoret, which is like the nearest city. E10 is a small place, but Eldoret was the nearest like big city, and that would take like over an hour to get back. So then it would take an hour after the activities for the day, and then we'd have dinner. Nothing really happens all that quickly in Kenya, it seems, except for the running. The runners are very fast, but everything else takes a long time. And so dinner would take forever, and then I try to get some work done. All right. David DeFrangia says, hey, Coach, just moved to Chicago. Excited to run on that lakefront trail I saw on the channel so many times, and maybe see Floberg in the flesh as well. Yeah, I think you'll see him out there a lot. He lives up in one of the, I guess it's a suburb. It's still within city, but it's at the far edge of it. Where he lives now, but he's out there a lot. And I hope you enjoy it. I miss it running along the lakefront in Chicago, David. So hopefully you enjoy it. Getting to Run said, shaved 38 minutes off my marathon PB on a hilly course. Awesome work. And you were racing in Kafuzi Run Club kit, so appreciate that. But he says, I'm still not a fan of marathons. That's okay. That's okay. All right. Brian Lang says, yo, what's going on? Congrats to Cherry Blossom runners and good luck to Caramel runners. It looks like the Cherry Blossom, from what I've seen, it looked like the Cherry Blossoms were in pretty good shape for the race this year. What did you guys think? Pretty good. And Brian wants to know, what does ugali taste like? Been fascinated about Kenyan food, seeing these race camps. So what's funny is that, so I was there, the other media that was there on this trip was me, Thomas and Carl from Believe in the Run, Alex Felidi and Julius's camera guy from Meta Endurance, and then Lisa, the fashion jogger. I don't know if you follow her on Instagram. You probably do. She has 2.6 million followers. Lisa, the fashion jogger, and her husband, manager, video guy, Fabio. And I met them before on another, I think I met them a couple other times. So there's like basically like 4 groups of us. I was the only one there without a dedicated camera person. And Alex was like, why don't you have a camera person? I was like, that's a good question. But anyway, so we were there. We're eating the ugali. It's basically like cornmeal and water, I think. I'm pretty sure that's all it is. So I don't know if there's a fat involved in it too. But when we were eating it, if you're Korean, it's almost like a duck. If you guys are familiar, like not duck, like in tteokguk, not that thick, but like dessert duck, but it's not sweet at all, but it's kind of cakey. And the Italians thought it was like polenta. Thomas thought it was like grits, but it's kind of bland. But when I got to stay at the 42 house, I got to eat, we all got to eat many meals at the 42 house, but I ate dinner there with the athletes one night, and they were giving me a hard time because I was using a fork. And so you take the ugali, you scoop it with your meat or your vegetables, and it soaks up any juices and stew stuff, and you use to pick up the meat and you eat with your hands. And it tastes, yeah, like it's very bland. It tastes like no, like polenta or grits. Yeah. And Steve says the Diadora HQ video just posted. Oh, okay, good. Oh, that's funny. It shows on my end that it's still doing some checks. But anyway, okay. All right, looks like some of you guys can see it. So if you guys do want to watch the Diodora video, that's out now. But before we get on, Kevin Chance is here. He says, usually a later but not live listener, and this is his first time live. Welcome. Celebrating a 405-minute PB at the Shamrock Marathon in Virginia Beach. Awesome. Great job, Kevin. Kevin, how's that race? Is it windy? I feel like it's windy. No? Or is it good? Frank LaHulier wants to know, is it corn? It is. I think it is corn. It is corn. And Sonny says, ugali is similar to fufu for those who have eaten West African dishes. Example given, Ghanaian. Okay. And Sonny says it's corn flour. But yeah, it was, I mean, it was good. I like it. I will say that I prefer ugali to injera. Injera has like a sour taste to it, and that's Ethiopian food. It's more like a pancake. Now there was a pancake there that the Kenyans would also eat, chapati, which they always served that with Indian food. So is chapati Indian? I don't know what the origin of that is, but there was a lot of Indian food, curries and stuff, which I think curries are probably common in African food generally, but there was also like Indian curries there. I think I had paneer like multiple times. But anyway, so that's the ugali. And I was asking Timothy. Timothy is one of the men pro runners there. I forget his last name, but I don't know if you guys remember a story about a half marathon pacer that ended up just deciding to finish the race instead of dropping out. And he ended up winning a half marathon. It was the Paris half marathon. And so that was him. And he told us the story about that. But he was telling me, like, so in Kenya, the athletes basically have three main sources of carbohydrate. Ugali, rice. There's lots of rice. The rice I had there was all really good. And pasta. They do have pastas there as well. And so they prefer to eat the ugali because you can have a bunch of ugali, which is lots of carbs, but it doesn't sit heavy in your stomach the night before. If you eat it the night before a long run, he's like, rice, very heavy. Pasta, very heavy next day. Ugali, nothing in the belly. So that's why they like to eat it a lot. So it was fun. Stephen C says, did you have any toilet issues or is that too much information? I did towards the end of the week. And part of it is, I don't know what it is. My stomach's still a little bit unsettled. And I think that, well, one of the people on the trip, one of the PR guys, he had some issues by the last day too. And he thought it was because he drank the water. The water is not recommended for Americans to drink. And so he thought it might have been that he got some Imodium from Carl. Carl had some extra Imodiums on hand, so that made him feel better. And then I started to also feel a little bit grumbly in the belly. And so I didn't know if it was that or if it was because I was eating meat while I was there. Because I've been trying to, I think it would have been really hard for me to eat at the 42 house if I didn't eat meat and I didn't want to appear rude or ungrateful, and so like I just wanted to eat whatever was given to me. And so I don't know if it was the eating more meat, just the rigors of travel on the body, or I wasn't sure if it was the water. Because, like I brushed my teeth with the sink water. Thomas said that he was advised not to open his mouth in the shower to avoid getting it in your mouth in the shower. I didn't do that. I just showered normal, and so I don't know what it was. And so for like the full day of travel that I had, it takes a long time to get there, guys. I had some stomach issues. Nothing emergency related, but didn't feel great. And Frank wants to know, so if ugali is good for Kenyans, does that mean grits would be a good carb loading food? I think we might be onto something here. Um, we'll have to see. But I think the thing is, when I eat grits, I like to add a lot of butter and a lot of cheese. And I'm guessing that's probably going to make it not so great as a carb loading source. But I don't know. The fettuccine alfredo carb loading strategy also works pretty well for me. I frequently also have pizza as carb loading, so maybe. I think maybe it'll be good. Maybe we have to try it. Mm. All right, Sunny says, I think for chapate that the term is originally South Asian, but East Africa and South Asia have a lot of connections and exchanges, so there's overlap in some dishes. Ah, that makes more sense. Brian Lang says that the Kenyans also put a cupful of sugar in their coffee. They do. You know what? I don't feel like I had a real Kenyan coffee experience. Most of the coffee that I had was not great. Um, it reminded me of like church coffee, just not super strong. We did have one time at the 42 house, they had made milk tea, which was really tasty, but very sweet, and very milky. They told us about this thing. I forget what it was called, but it was kind of like basically sour milk. They kept calling it like a yogurt. And they showed us that there's like a specific kind of stick. You char the stick and then you mix it, stir it into milk. And then there's a special kind of container that you let it ferment in for a few days. And Timothy was drinking some of it the night that I was staying at the 42 house. And he was trying to offer it to Fashion Jogger because Fashion Jogger was asking about it. And the way Timothy, in his Kenyan accent, kept saying it's like sour milk, Lisa, who is Italian, kept hearing soy milk. And so he was saying like, it's a sour milk. Do you want to try? I can get you some sour milk. And she said, soy milk? You want me to have soy milk? And he's like, it's very good for runners. And she goes, oh, soy milk? And I'm hearing this and I'm like, no, I don't think this is a good idea. And just as I was about to interrupt, Nelvin, a female athlete there, who specializes in 1500 and 5K, 5,000, she was like, no. And she pointed to like me, Lisa, and her husband Fabio. She's like, they cannot have that. They can have regular milk. And Nelvin was drinking regular milk, but not that one. And I was like, yeah, he's saying sour milk. It's sour. He goes, yeah, like yogurt. So I was like, that could have been interesting if she had tried the sour milk. Steve says lost in translation for sure. Yeah. Sega Dreamcast says, did you see anything that you would use to change your training or recovery? One thing that I will start introducing is like doing the Kenyan warm-up routine where that looks basically like they're doing aerobics. So on the long run day, we started running all together, the pros and us, and they waited for us. They slowed down for us, which was nice. They didn't have to because they were working out that day. If they had taken off, we wouldn't have cared. But we ran a 2-mile warm-up together at a pace that was faster than we did the actual rest of the run. But anyway, we did 2 miles at like 8:30, 8:15 pace. And then after that, we did a warm-up. And the warm-up is basically a lot of hopping and then like A skips in place and then B skips and all sorts of stuff. So that I thought was really fun. And I feel like it's kind of like a little mini plyos that you could do either before as a warm-up or like run a couple miles, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and then do some of that and then, or do your easy run and then do that afterwards. So I feel like it made me tired, but I feel like, I liked it more than the way it kind of made you move your hips and basically, yeah, a lot of it just the hip movements. I felt like that I like that doing that more than stretches. So I don't know. I think that's something that I would like to try to introduce for sure. Kurt says, it was so good to see you guys with the Shoes for Africa, folks. Toby, the founder, is a friend of mine. Back before the hospital, I collected hundreds of shoes for him. What a small world, Kurt. What a small world. Toby is an amazing dude, and I'd like to get more involved with Shoes for Africa. So I met this guy. They they took us. I didn't just happen to meet the guy. They took us to go to the Shoes for Africa place, which was described to us currently as like a boys and girls club. And we get there. The kids were on break from school at the time. It was like a holiday. I don't know if it's like a spring break or what, but they weren't in school. But they were at the Shoes for Africa place, which was basically like a big indoor gym. And they took us for a run. Um, and some of us ran more than others. Thomas ran less. But I was with me, Carl, Alex, Feliti. We ran more. And we almost got dropped. But the coach, who was riding alongside in a little motorbike, had to scold the children at the front of the group we were running in because they kept picking up the pace. And we were running probably like 8:30s, which isn't that fast, but like, yeah, we're just not acclimated to. It's like 7,200 feet. It's rolling, and the Kenyan way seems to be really chill on downhills and then a little bit aggressive on uphills, which is the opposite of how I run. And so like, anytime there was a hill, it would string us out a little bit. But we got to run with them, and so it's like a boys and girls club. But he's done a lot of things. He started a children's hospital is one thing that he's done. And he's starting a new program where he's feeding kids porridge in the morning so that the kids have something to eat before they go to school. And so the dude's doing amazing stuff down there. Pretty cool guy. Daniel said, "Did you run with any famous elite runners?" Yeah, all the Kiprun runners. I mean, most of them were too fast for us to really run with, other than that warm up time. But I got to see some of them. They picked me up after I did my part of the run. I got picked up by a motorcycle, which was fun because then I had to have a motorcycle ride. One of the managers of the 42 house said that the Kenyan experience is three things: riding in a mutatu, which is like the van that's like super filled with people. That's a common way of getting around. Eating the ugali and then getting a ride on the back of a motorcycle. And so I had the Kenyan experience. But then after a while, one of the mutatus picked me off of the bike, and I got in the van, and so I got to see that van was in charge of trailing the lead group of the Kiprun runners, and that was pretty amazing, hypnotizing almost to see because they were running so smooth and yet so fast. But yeah, so that was it. I did run into Luis Orta while I was there, and we had a little bit of a lost in translation moment there too. So we're going to eat lunch at this place called Cario House, and it's got a really nice view looking down into the Rift Valley. And I'm just filming like, hey, we're about to go inside, grab some lunch. This place looks like it's got really great views. And as I'm like talking to my phone, Luis Orta comes out, and I'm like, what the heck? Look who I found here. And I knew he was in Kenya because he's filming his series for iFit. But I didn't think that I'd bump into him. Like what are the odds of bumping into someone like a half a world away? And so, but I bumped into him there, and he was like, "Are you staying here?" And I'm like, "I'm staying in E10 one night at the 42 house, but most of the time I'll be staying at Eldoret." He's like, "Well, are you coming back for dinner here?" I'm like, "No, I'm just having lunch." And he just kept wanting to know if I was staying here. And I was like, I'm in E10 during the day. I don't understand what he's saying, but like, I'm in town. I'm in town for like another day. But that restaurant also has a hotel. And so like he was there staying at the hotel, and I think just stopping in for lunch probably at the restaurant. And then I think some other pro athletes were staying there. They were having lunch sitting underneath some, at some outdoor tables with under umbrellas. But like I could tell this is a place that a lot of pros have been, because like there's a glass door to get into the restaurant, and they've got stickers all over it. And one of the stickers like a Martin logo sticker on there. So clearly the Martin product team, when they're in town, they must stay at this hotel. So, but yeah. Alex wants to know how the email's looking though. You know what? I bought Wi-Fi for the flight home. One of the flights home. I had 2 8.5-hour flights in a row. That's how long it takes to get back. I Actually, on the way back, I flew from Nairobi to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to Amsterdam, and then Amsterdam to Chicago. So 2 8.5 hour flights and an hour long flight. And we had to get from Eldoret to Nairobi first. So that was another hour long flight. So like my travel day yesterday to get home was more than a day, I think. It was from Eldoret to Nairobi to Eldoret, Nairobi, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, Chicago. So yeah. But my emails are actually in pretty good shape. Something that I do though, as much as I hate emails, is I pretty regularly delete junk that gets in there. And so like it stays pretty clean. But if it's something that I actually might have to read, I just leave it on unread for a long time. So that's my toxic trait, I guess. Kurt says, "Is the warm up like the Ethiopian runners do, but less structured?" Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to see the Kenyans warm up by themselves. They led us through a warm up, but I think basically the way we did it was we just stood around in a circle, and then Nelvin led everyone, and so it would be like hops, and then like, all right, high knees, and then it'd be in a rhythm. One leg, then the other, and then the other, and so it'd be like, but there was a nice rhythm to it. But it wasn't like, whenever I've seen like the Ethiopian runners do it, they're like in almost like a formation, and they're like moving forward as they do it. This one was all in place. So that's what it was. Calvin said, "Did I see Ben Felton?" I did not see Ben Felton while I was there, but I think the run we did our long run on, that's a pretty popular route. It's just a long straight road that goes for like 30 kilometers. It's a little bit rolling, but it's just one long road. And so most of the traffic that's on there is drivers supporting runners. But he had been on there the day before we were on there. So we were kind of close, I think. Steven wants to know if Thomas ran up his bar tab in Kenya. He did buy us a couple of rounds of drinks. So the last day we had some time between checkout and when we had to get to the airport to get from Eldoret to Nairobi. And so we had a few rounds of Tusker lagers. Tusker, like an elephant Tusker. Pretty good beers. Fun to drink. They taste like every other beer that you've had when you traveled. It tastes a lot like the Casablanca beers I had in Morocco. Pretty similar, I'd say, to maybe like a Peroni, if I were to go to Italy. Yeah, but it was, and they're fun. They're fun to enjoy. When you go to another country, drink the local macro brew. So that was fun. But run up the bar tab. It's not that expensive to drink there. So, yeah. And Vanessa says, "Hey, Kavuzi Run Club. Didn't realize we were back. Hope everyone is well." Yeah. Good to see you again. Sleeve Singer said, "Did you see awesome wildlife?" So we went on this one hike, which was pretty treacherous, and none of us had trail shoes on. We just had road shoes on. But it was a fun hike. Oh, it was steep. Oh boy, it was steep. 1,000 feet in like a mile and a half. That was a lot. And most like the second half of it, it was pretty flat. So it was mostly like just straight up for a long time. But anyway, when we did that hike, we saw a wild monkey. That was pretty tricky, and it was calling out and warning all the other monkeys in the area. So we only saw the one. And then at the end of the long run, there was 2 wild giraffes, like pretty far away, but on a hillside, and they were just grazing. So that was pretty cool. And then there was just lots of birds, so many birds that I've never seen before, big ones, small ones, just all sorts. They said some of us saw, we went to one place where there was cliff diving. Thomas said he was going to do it, but I don't think they wanted him to do it. And at some point they pointed out that there was a crocodile in the water. I never saw the crocodile or alligator. I don't know. Yeah. Brian said, "Did you bring any Kenyan dirt back on your shoes?" I sure did. I wasn't going to wipe it off. And so one of the shoes that I tested, which I can tell you more about next time, it goes off embargo tomorrow. But one of the shoes I tested definitely has a lot of really nice Kenyan clay on it. So I'm not, I almost don't want to run in the shoe again because if I run on it again, it'll like rub off, you know. So Daniel Britt wants to know, when is your next race? My next race is the First to Fast 5K in New York, June 7th, I want to say. That's the one that I'm doing the next Rana training series of videos with. Yeah. Kurt says, yeah, okay, cool. Talking about the warm-up situation. I absolutely love those in Ngasu running videos for the Ethiopian folks. And they had Tusker beer in Disney at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. All right, I might have to go stay at the Animal Kingdom Lodge next time I'm in Disney World. Yeah. Eric said, there's only crocs in Kenya, no gators. Okay. So it would have been a crocodile. And Brian says, definitely a dream to try one of those famous Kenyan fartleks. Yeah, so I feel like if we had more time, I feel like the coach of the Shoes for Africa kids would have let us do a fartlek with them. Now, that morning, Alex and his camera guy, Julius, and then Thomas and Carl had spent the night at the 42 house, just those two, and I had stayed at the hotel. But that morning, they had a chance to get up real early and run in Nitan, and they did a 10K, and I was super jealous about that because I slept in, which was nice, but I had to spend the extra hour driving back to E10, back and forth to E10. But Alex, who was in the group that ran long, Thomas's group only ran like a mile, but our group ran 5K. And Alex said he was struggling because he ran like 8 or 9 miles in the morning, and it was a pretty hilly, aggressive route. But I would have loved to have run a fartlek with those kids just to see what it's like when they pick up. And one of the other things that I was like, I would have loved to have seen is that in Way of the Runner, Darnan Finn's book about running with Kenyans, he mentions a way of doing fartlek where they kind of zigzag when they're going uphill. And then the slower runners tend not to zig and zag as much. And they say it's like one way of helping to keep the group together a little bit. But I would have loved to have seen that. But I didn't get to see any fartleks. But I did see a lot of other pro groups that were out there. I can't say that I was able to spot. My knowledge of the international marathoning and half marathoning athletes is not as good as maybe it should be. I tend to focus on the Americans, but you could definitely tell that these were fast runners. And they ran in really big packs on the roads out there. And Amos, who was the manager for the 42 house, we asked him about like running on the dirt roads or the clay roads versus paved roads. And like, when do they decide to do that? And he goes, well, sometimes it rains a lot here. And so if it's muddy, we run on the roads. And if it's not, we run on the dirt. So he made it a weather thing, where my understanding is it's more of it's like in the build part, you run on the soft surface and then you finish your training on paved surfaces to get ready for the race. Cheapazoid says, should I buy and hoard running shoes now in anticipation of sharp increases in shoe prices due to tariffs in the near future? I would say yes and no. I would say probably, I wouldn't buy a ton of them, but maybe one or two. I have a feeling like the next 6 months to a year is going to be real weird. Who knows what's going to happen? Hopefully, cooler heads will prevail and things will go to normal soon, but who knows how long that will take and how disruptive it'll be in the meantime. So, yeah. By the way, my blue car, the older one that just crossed 200,000 miles, failed emissions test this week, and now I'm like, oh man, on any parts that it takes to fix that, it's going to be way more expensive now. But yeah, but hopefully someone can draw us back from the brink of a trade war or whatever. Let's see. Patrick wants to know any prototype in the wild sightings. I saw one on the Kiprun product guy. That's it. And we were running in all Kiprun pre-production shoes. A couple of different pairs that we had. But other than that, like, I'm trying to think of like what I'm trying to think of like what other shoes I saw that were crazy. And I can't really think. I saw a lot of Adidas shoes and Asics shoes, and then Chinese shoes. So those are the three main shoes that I saw, as far as like racing shoes. And then for daily trainers, there's a lot of Nike daily trainers that are floating around. So there's that. We ran at Kipchoge Stadium in Eldoret, and outside there's a dude who's got a blanket laid out with a bunch of super shoes on them. And so I'm guessing he's selling them if you're about to go in, and or maybe that's just, selling by the stadium where the track is. And so that blanket, I had to look at it, had like a lot of like 3 or 4 year old. They weren't old shoes. Maybe they were a little used, but I don't know. I didn't look that close. But he had shoes that were like 3 or 4 years old. So there's like a lot of Saucony Endorphin Pro, like 1 and 2s. Remember like the finish line flag design? I saw a bunch of those, some old Vaporflies, things like that. So there's a lot of new shoes there. There's also a lot of old shoes there too, though. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it says, small correction about Finn's books. Running with the Kenyans is about the Kenyans. Way of the Runners, Japanese running. Okay, thanks for the correction there. Yeah, Darnan Finn's book is Running with the Kenyans, is the Kenyan one. Obviously. Makes sense. Thank you. All right. Let's get to the box. And then we'll get to Brian Lackenalow's question about Kiprun. Okay. So I think you guys have, like, because once I had access to internet the whole time I was there, but I feel like once I got back to like Europe, I had a reasonably long layover in Frankfurt, and I felt like everyone was unboxing these, but now I get to unbox it too. It is a care package from Asics and Bandit. Man, they packed a lot in this bag. A small amount of space. All right, first we got Asics Bandit hat. And I love these runners in the back. That's super cool. And we've got, red stripy half tights. This is a new material for Bandit. I've never seen Bandit use this kind of material, because if you've run in their half tights, you know that's like, it's that very stretchy, shiny material. This is not stretchy, shiny. It is stretchy, but it's not shiny. It still has little grippy tape on the bottom, but not as sticky. But still has some grip tape. Has this, what are they calling this? The sun. Phases of the sun logo that they've been using for this collab. It has side pockets. Oh, no, wait. This has the dual tiered side pocket. So a regular big pocket on the side lower, and then up higher by the waistband are 2 smaller pockets. So you can have individual gels in here. I don't know. How do we feel about these super thin pockets? I feel like just give me one bigger pocket And the gels will just do fine separating themselves. I don't know. But they've got the same thing on the other side, and then a big old zipper pocket in the back. Yeah. This feels like the sizing is a little bit bigger than... Oh, they sent me a large, that's why. I'm like, this seems bigger than my normal Bandit shorts, but they sent me a large this time. Which I don't know what's been going on, but I feel like maybe that's right for me right now. All right. AJ says that the gels can cut each other open. I've never had that happen before. Interesting. Yeah, they fit individual Martins. We'll have to see how the Science and Sports fit in there. Yeah, interesting. This singlet is gorgeous. Again, it's got the phases of the sun, the runner kanji. It's not really kanji, but it's made to look that way, but it's runners. And then all the logos. NYC at the top. And then at the bottom, you've got a Bandit logo over an Asics logo. And they sent it to me in large. This does seem a little bit big. But I'm sure it'll be fine. All right. Last piece, before we get to the shoes, is this jacket. All right. This is gorgeous. It kind of feels a little bit like you know those bags that are made out of old parachutes? Not parachutes. Like old plastic materials. Kind of feels like that. I have a jacket that's a similar cut from Bandit. It's like this. It's brown. The one I have is a little bit thicker. So this seems a little bit thinner, so better for this time of year. The one I have is more of a winter running jacket. But yeah, really cool. It's got two zipper pockets up front. And it is like see-through a little bit. So it's like somewhat transparent. Maybe not the jacket. Yeah, because you could see the red coming through on the back. See that? This is the back that you're seeing through here. So it's somewhat transparent. Now, I just got a message saying something happens if you rub the chest logo. If you apply heat to it. I want to see. I'll put my hand on it. See what happens. That's what that bell was. Okay. What? It says if something will happen if I apply heat, like Technicolor? No way. On the jacket or on the singlet? Yeah, Steve Blackadar says the singlet has heat-sensitive font, turns red with heat. Oh my goodness. That's weird. Who would have thought Technicolor would come back? Is it changing? I can't tell. I don't think so. Maybe I'm not hot enough. But yeah, and I'll keep trying. I was told to scratch it like a lotto ticket. I gotta scratch it? No way. Is that permanent? Rub it. Richard Wilson says maybe rub it. But it will go back to black afterwards. So, yeah. Chairman Antelope says, I'm not hot enough. Brian Lang says, give it a kiss. All right, now this is starting to get a little bit risque here then. And Eric says, don't trust any of us. Well, the person who's texting me, I could trust that person. It's not working, guys. I'm gonna have to write. I'm just gonna have to run in it, and we'll figure it out. Or else, well, do you think it'll work if I sit on it? Maybe if I put it under my leg. Well, just sit on it for a little while. Hold on. Because that'll be heat that I can apply without making too much noise or moving around a lot, you know? All right, so we'll try sitting on it. But let's get to the shoe. Cheryl thinks I got a sweat in it. All right, well, I mean, we'll try. CV76 says sit and fart on. Yeah, Richard Wilson says, "Is your butt hot enough?" I don't know. I don't know. Getting Tryon says, "This is the #1 running gear ASMR live stream." There we go. There we go. Brian says, it's fart activated color. All right. Here we go. Novablast 5 in Lucent White and High Rise is the name of the colorway in here. And I do think this box is really nice. It's got the Asics logo by itself on the side. These runner characters. Just a nice way of decorating this box. Sound Mind, Sound Body on the back. So nice. And inside, oh my goodness. My daughter is going to love this. She's been stealing a lot of my stuff lately, which is a little bit annoying. But you know, she's in her track season now, so it's okay. But yeah, look at this bag is nice. This is a nice track bag. Let's take a look at this shoe. All right. And there's this thing in here too. So here, this is not an all white shoe, or whatever like this main color is. What do they call it? High rise, or the lucent white. So it's got a lot more nuance to it than that, and something that I didn't see in a lot. No disrespect to anyone else that unboxed this already, but I was watching this bleary-eyed while traveling. But yeah, so you got the Asics logo in here, and then here, if you zoom out, this is the Bandit logo here, right? Am I seeing? Maybe I gotta squint a little bit, but there's something else going on with the overlays. Yeah, it's a Bandit logo, overlaid, ghosted, like on top here, so you can kind of see that. See that? This stuff, this Bandit logo, and then you've got Asics and Bandit and the word mark up in the toes, which I think is really sharp right there. This looks really clean. This is really nice. I like it. And then like a hint of suggestive color on the bottom down here. And then I love these little heel tags. I know they're just pure decoration, but I'm liking this. And I know that it's not the first time I've ever seen those, but. And then the insole, he's got the same design cues on the insole as well, which I think look exceptionally nice, with the kind of like the fuzzy out of focus sun phases, and then the really sharp contrasty product logo, like brand logos in there. So really nice. I like this. And then here's this thing. So they put this little pouch in here. You put your weed in there. Even this little plastic pouch is branded. See that? But it's the product tags for this, I think. Is this just regular product information? Man, I'm getting old because I'm like, I need to get my reading glasses out for this. But so it's like it looks like a regular product tag. It probably says something else on there cool, but I can't read it because my eyes are too old. This is like one of those hearing tests where they put the high-pitched noise where kids might loiter and regular adults like me won't notice it, but kids will find it obnoxious. I feel like that's what's going on with this. This is how you know if someone's old or not, if they know what this tag says, maybe. Is this for ants? But this, you put, there's a little loop at the top in this portion here. And so when you've been seeing this up here, it's because you looped it into the front of the laces. Right there. So that's how you get that extra part on the tag up front. I thought it was like sewn into the mesh up here when I saw images of it. But yeah. Yeah. And Calvin says, is the red on the insole going to bleed into the socks? Patrick says, yes, can confirm. Does it really? Interesting. Let's see what else. There's something else in here. There's another set of laces. Oh, look at these laces. These laces have the little runner characters on there, right? Is that what that? Oh, man, this is like an eye. This is like an eye test for middle-aged people. So embarrassing. Yeah, your your age giveaways are you can't read the tag on the shoe and you're wearing ankle socks. Yeah, that's the funniest. Like you're old if you ask me. But the other thing I did not notice that's different is the tongue is different. It's made out of a different material, and you could see it's almost like it's like very starchy pleat and like very, very tight pleats is kind of how it feels to the fingers, but it's like a ribbed material. It's very thin, thinner than the regular Novablast 5 tongue, which for me, the thinner, the better. Yeah, really nice. They've done a lot of really nice things on this. This feels special, you know? Should we get it on the scale? Smells like basketball shoes. This reminds me of like Foot Locker in the 90s. This is nostalgia right here. This smells like the past. That's a good smell. It's strong, but it's a good smell. Juliana Vivi says, this is so relatable. I'm in the phase where I take photos of tags and zoom in on the photo. I feel like there's that. And then there's also the people that use their phones at the restaurant, either for the flashlight and or they zoom in on the camera so they could read what's on the menu. Oh, man. All right. So I've been sitting on this. It does change. Oh, it changed back super fast. But I saw it. It was red. It was red. Oh my goodness. I'm guessing I think if you wear this for a workout, it'll stay red because it'll be on you. But I saw it change. Maybe you guys saw it change for a second too. But yeah. Let me grab my scale. Andrew says, are you at the point where you have to take your glasses off to read and then put them back on to see everything else? No, I think my vision's a little bit different than that. I don't have to do that because I just have really terrible vision. So if I take my glasses off, I ain't reading anything. But yeah, let's see. Let me get this. Share screen. Shoe weights. Let's get it on the stage here. All right. I think Novablast 5 is already on here, isn't it? Yeah. So the regular Novablast 5 weighed in at 8.9 ounces. So let's see what this one comes in at. Five, call it Bandit, right? 0 miles, right shoe, size 9, road. Okay. Interesting. I mean, there's some extra things in here, so it should be heavier, right? How much of a weight difference do we think that makes? And I do wonder how much variation there is between production units, but I also don't want to be like, send me 5 of each one. To actually measure it. All right, so we got 9.1 ounces and 258 grams for the Novablast 5 Bandit version. And then time for data sort by column C. Data sort. All right, there's that. The Novablast 5 was 8.9 ounces. So a significant difference. I guess it's 6 grams. 6 grams seems like, grams to me feel like millimeters, where they're like, oh, a gram is negligible. But I think a gram is not necessarily negligible. But seeing that it's 0.2 ounces heavier does sound like a lot. 6 grams does not sound like a lot. 0.2 ounces sounds like a lot. But it's heavier by a little bit. I'm not sure how much it matters. Yeah. Brian says, if your Bandit logo ain't red, you're not trying hard enough. That's funny. I like that a lot. Now we're going to like shame people based on if you cross the finish line black. You got to be red or you didn't try. Oh, I got to wait with the tag. I didn't have the tag on there. I don't think the tag is going to add any grams to it. But yeah. Yeah, Calvin says, you know what? 5 millimeters sounds tiny, but if a shoe stack is 34 millimeters versus 39 millimeters, it feels significant. It does. That feels like a lot, right? I don't know. Getting to run says, stay red, Bandit Goggins. That's funny. Scott says, I missed how the logo changes. I missed it too. It didn't stay red for very long for me. So I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying to make it hot. I'll hold it to myself for a long time and so see if it goes. Strava says easy run, but the Bandit logo is red and HR is at 180. I like that. That's so funny. Did I sniff? All right, I did sniff the shoe. Yes. Let's see. So the Diodora Italy trip video that is up now. I guess we should end here. It has been 56 minutes, so we're at about an hour for today. So I guess I'll wrap up by saying I didn't get to talk about Italy today, but we could talk about it on Thursday. I'll have another live stream Thursday, and then Monday, and then I'll be in Boston. So next episode or next live stream, I'll talk about all the things that I'm doing in Boston and places that I could see you guys. It's hard to imagine that Boston is coming up already. Kind of snuck up on me this year. But yeah, so the Italy trip is up now. You guys can go and watch it if you like, and we could talk about it on Thursday. I think I'll have some more things to unbox too. I think I have a lot of stuff at the P.O. Box. I haven't gone there yet since I've been back. But I think I got a lot of stuff there. So we'll talk about all that next time. Let's see if the color has changed. You got to be fast, all right? You guys ready? Because I feel like it changed back real quick. Yeah, it's red. It's red. Oh, it's already back. It's kind of red. It's going back. It changes back so quickly. Anyway, I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was red for like a second. But that's it. That's it for today, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I missed you guys. It's good to be back, even if for a only little while. And I'll see you guys Thursday. All right. Bye.